Coming up, Joplin experiences a tragedy as an officer-involved shooting sees the loss of life from one of JPD's own.
Going to be another morning of scraping those windows, but at least we warm up just a little bit for the next 2 days. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Pittsburgh police released the name of the victim found in a house on 4th Street.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip in the Skywatch Weather Center.
A little miniature warm-up is what I'd call it. Gets us close back to normal after being quite below that here for the past 2 days of the work and school week. Still cold though on this Wednesday morning, 30 degrees right now over Joplin. Not fighting any wind, so not any discrepancy between temperature and what it actually feels like. But second consecutive day, even though Joplin, Lamar, and Nevada are at that 30-degree mark, Yates Center and Iola, the only ones that are above 32 degrees. So it's still quite chilly out there. Now waiting on the Midwest to get the action rolling for Wednesday night into Thursday. There's a look at our cloud cover. We're actually going to get a lot more sunshine today than what we did yesterday. Weather trend for the next 24 hours up into the 50s this afternoon. We'll fall about, say 4 or 5 degrees short of our average high, but 52, 53, not too bad. Then as we put future track into motion, here comes the cloud cover. And the winter storm warnings that they have do stay to the north of us, but you can tell that's a fair amount of snow that rolls through just our far northern counties up all the way north of Kansas City to really the Kansas, Nebraska, and Missouri, Iowa state lines. And then as it rolls through on Thursday, there we go, there comes our widespread snow just in time for Friday morning. Could be looking around an inch of accumulation. Go ahead and plan on having a winter weather advisory for Friday as well. Saturday is going to be cold, so snow's going to stick around for a day. Then Sunday for daylight savings time, bring that clock forward and back up right where we should be, around 57 degrees.
That's for sure. It'll be nice for a warm-up. We'll be ready.
We'll be ready for it. That is for sure.
All right, thank you, Michael. Well, a somber night in the 4 states. Community members gathered at Joplin's Cunningham Park last night for a vigil following yesterday afternoon's deadly shootings. A Joplin police officer and suspect are dead. 2 other officers are in the hospital, 1 in critical condition and 1 listed as serious but stable. 4 staters everywhere joined the department in mourning and prayers. Police have not yet released the names of the officers who were shot or the suspect. Tuesday afternoon's events unfolded at 2 sites in Joplin. KOAM's Shannon Becker reports.
Afternoon, about 1:20 Joplin police officers responded to a disturbance near 4th and Geneva. As they arrived, they encountered a subject that was involved in an exchange of gunfire. Both officers were injured. That suspect then fled in a Joplin police vehicle to a second location. Another exchange of gunfire in 9th and Connecticut. We learned the suspect was injured in that exchange of gunfire, no further threat to the public, and a third Joplin police officer was injured there as well. All 3 officers were transported to area hospitals. This evening at 7 o'clock at Cunningham Park in Joplin, law enforcement from all over the area, along with the public, joined in praying for those 3 officers. We anticipate more information from Joplin Police tomorrow. Missouri State Highway Patrol, Division of Drugs and Crime Control are investigating these officer-involved shootings. In Joplin, I'm Shannon Becker, KOAM News.
The Joplin Police Department has scheduled a news conference for 9 o'clock this morning to provide more information on the case. Area law enforcement agencies have posted some thoughts on social media. The Duquesne Police Department calls for prayers for the officers and their families, adding, quote, "No Duquesne officer was shot, but he was first on scene immediately after, and that can carry a heavy toll as well." Many other departments have sent messages similar to this one from the Newton County Sheriff's Office, quote, "Our thoughts and prayers are with any EMS, fire, and police that responded to the scenes today. Our thoughts and prayers are with the dispatchers that took the calls. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families of the officers that were shot. Our thoughts and prayers for the entire Joplin community." You can watch for updates on this developing story on KOAMnewsnow.com and the KOAM News app. Well, there's an update to the story we broke yesterday about the woman whose body was found in a house on 4th Street in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh police have released the name of the victim. That name, Misty Watson Sorensen. As you might recall, Pittsburgh police are treating her death as a possible homicide. Investigators are awaiting an autopsy report. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation's crime scene response team is helping with the case, along with investigators from the Crawford County Sheriff's Office and member agencies of the Tri-State Major Case Squad. Well, KOAM is always looking to hear from aspiring journalists, and we're starting a new program where we will feature stories shot, written, and edited by local students. This story comes from Joplin High School, and it's about a class at Franklin Technology Center preparing students for the workforce 1 2x4 at a time. Kennedy Dury reports.
Here at the construction department in FTC, students are learning how to build the exterior of a tiny house. For years, Lauren Curtis has been constructing houses throughout the 4 states. Now he's teaching the next generation of workers to do the same.
It's step by step, so everything is based off of classroom first. So learn it in the class, take your test on it, pass your test, and then we go out in the shop, and that's kind of where I look at it as a job site. So everything is layered and step by step as we build everything here.
Aaliyah Perez is in the class, and she says there's a process building a house, even if it's on a smaller scale.
First, we got to do the flooring system, and then once we're done with the flooring system, we got to do the wall systems, and then we got to put all the rafters up, and then all the roofs, and then goes the walls, and then after that, we get to do the exterior.
When constructing any project, there's a job for everyone, and Curtis wants his students to follow a path they're passionate about.
My deal is there's so many vast varieties of type of jobs to do. So it's exterior, building walls, interior, putting sheetrock up. There's these multi things that has to go into building a house that makes it great for them. And I try by their senior year to know what area they want to go into so I can push them to that area of their expertise per se.
Aaliyah says there's more to this than just reading a book. It has to be done with your hands.
I feel like this project is important because it teaches us how to do like hands-on skills, and instead of just reading about it, we can bring it to life and do it ourselves.
If you or a friend are interested in the construction program at FTC, please do not hesitate. Contact Mr. Curtis or your counselor. Reporting for JHD, this is Kennedy Dury.
Again, thanks to Joplin High School student Kennedy Dury for that report. Good job. It's 5:07.
Still a little chilly out there, despite the fact that we'll get sunshine early. Going to be delightful looking sunrise. Going to be gorgeous today. You know, Tanya, I was just thinking about it right before the show started. We've only got 3 more days to utilize our tower cams for sunrises.
Oh.
And then we got daylight savings time, and we got to wait for for it to come back again. This afternoon, up into the 50s. Start with sunshine early, increasing cloud cover. Going to be pretty calm though. Don't have to worry about fighting the wind too much. And then a 7-day forecast. We're going to break down our winter weather advisories here in just a little bit that actually has winter storm warnings up to the north of us as we anticipate that system moving in from the west Thursday night into Friday morning.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Pittsburgh High School picks its new football coach. Plus, Florida Senate passes a controversial law that ends up on the governor's desk. We'll have why this bill has people upset and protesting over it. And we'll have how concussions in kids can lead them to developing mental health issues. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Pittsburgh High School has found its next head coach. It is a name that 4 state football fans are going to be very familiar with, as the school announcing Josh Latimer, new leader of the Purple Dragon program. Latimer currently serves as Pittsburgh's strength and conditioning coach, and he'll continue in that role in addition to being head coach. Latimer is a Pittsburgh State Hall of Famer, served as the Gorillas' defensive line coach from 2017 to 2020, and he does have head coaching experience, leading Ellsworth Community College in 2013. Of course, during his prep days, he was an all-state standout at Fort Scott High School. Here's what Latimer has to say about meeting with the team for his first time as the new head coach.
The kid was pretty genuine. They're excited. I'm excited for them. There's a couple guys, you know, got a little teary-eyed, and I got a little emotional too as well. Just they know that they mean something to me, and that I'll be there for them. I feel like I just gained 100 new sons, and I'm excited about that. I think this is the best profession in the world, and it pays you back once you see kids get success.
Big congratulations to Josh there, who I've known for a number of years, going back to his high school days when I was doing sports. And just behind the camera there, Ron and I were talking. It's great to see young people like that grow into leadership roles as they get older. Allen County Community College men's basketball team making some history this week as the Red Devils headed to the NJCAA Division II tournament. And this will be the first time doing so in program history. Team had a watch party, found out they're going to be the 9 seed in the bracket. That means they get to face 8th seeded Lakeland in the first round. That's going to take place in Danville, Illinois next Tuesday. Allen earned its spot in the national tournament by winning a regional title over Johnson County last week. Red Devils 27-5 overall, now just 4 wins away from a national title, and it starts 1 week from yesterday against Lakeland.
You can't get there unless you win the first game. So I feel like the first game is going to be, it's a challenge. Everybody's here for a reason. So I feel like once we get to that game, we have to put everything we can on the court. Don't leave nothing there. So I feel like we have a good team. They have a good team. It's going to be a good game.
We need to continue to be Allen. You know, now we're on a bigger stage. We made it to the national tournament. We're not trying to be anybody other than what we've been the entire year. So we'll keep doing things the way we've done so far because that's worked for us.
High school level, we got a couple of playoff games, 4 of them as a matter of fact in Missouri. First up, Seneca girls facing Ava. State sectional matchup taking place in Nixa. Winner of this one moves on to the state quarterfinals on Saturday, and it will be the Ava Bears as they win it 48-30. Seneca finishes a great season with a 23-7 overall record. On the boys' side in Nixa, Lamar Tigers up against Willow Springs, and Willow Springs wins this one 66-42. Lamar finishes 17-12 overall. Pittsburgh State softball team opening up conference play this weekend as the Gorillas host a doubleheader, weather permitting, against Lincoln on Sunday in their first MIAA action of the season. Pitt State off to a really nice start under first-year head coach Jenny Fuller. They've won 6 of their last 8, 14-7 through the first 21 games. Gorillas have used that non-conference schedule to figure out a lineup, build great chemistry. 21 games in, here's head coach Fuller on her team.
I think that we're in a good spot right now. What stood out is we're really just becoming a well-rounded team that is very resilient and able to bounce back. I've been impressed with our grit and able to overcome deficits, and I think that we're starting to gel and really develop confidence, and I think that we'll continue that into conference play.
I say weather permitting there. Remember, on Sunday we're supposed to be back up into the 50s. Just remember, if you take in the doubleheader, make sure you roll that clock forward an hour early as soon as you get up on Sunday morning. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, South Korea's COVID numbers are on the rise. We're going to have what these record numbers mean and a check on our 7-day forecast from the KOAM Morning News returns. Roll out the Daily Almanac for our March the 9th, where at average high would be sitting, say, about 57 degrees. And yeah, we'll come up just a little short of it, but it'll be nice to be able to get back into the 50s today. Still got some window scraping that's probably going to take place with our temperatures below the freezing mark in most places. We've seen Yates Center, Iola, and Chanute bump up to 33 and 32 respectively. 30 right now in both Carthagena and Joplin, 27 in Miami. Not having to fight any wind, that's the nice part as it works in. Kind of from the north-northwest right there, but you'll notice on the wind chill. That's very similar in nature to what we see for our temperatures. Here's the Skywatch Storm Tracker with thunderstorms hanging to the east of the Mississippi. Looking good for us. It really didn't have much hit the ground. Now we've got to talk about, how about winter weather advisories for our far northern counties in purple. Winter storm warnings to the north of us in what's indicated in pink. Those running until Friday afternoon because we know we've got some action that's going to start here on Thursday. So we'll start Wednesday, we'll see the majority of the snowfall stay to the far north of us. Just kind of clip our counties right there. But then Thursday evening, there we go. We begin to get pretty widespread, takes us all the way into Friday morning as well. Looking about an inch of accumulation, and then much colder for Friday and Saturday as we're back down into the 30s. Time now for our Something to Talk About on the KOAM News Now Instapoll. Florida State Senate passing a bill limiting classroom conversations about sexual orientation and gender identity. This is for grades K through 3. Measure now heads to the Republican Governor Ron DeSantis for his signature. Its official name is the Parental Rights in Education Bill. You probably have heard it referred to as another name. It's also called the Don't Say Gay Bill colloquially, and parents worry it will harm children who identify as LGBTQ. Layla Santiago with more on the story.
Despite the statewide protests,
show the Florida legislature that what they are doing does not represent us.
The emotional pleas.
I never knew that living my truth would cause church members to leave my dad's church. Or friends to stop talking to me.
22 yeas, 17 nays, Mr. President.
So the bill passes.
Florida's Senate today passed Bill 1557, a bill that essentially bars teachers from discussing sexual orientation and gender identity in the classrooms of young students. The bill calls for procedures to reinforce the fundamental right of parents and prohibits instructions on sexual orientation or gender identity in K through 3rd grade in a manner that is not age appropriate, but doesn't define what that means.
And we're going to make sure that parents are able to send their kid to kindergarten without having some of this stuff injected into their school curriculum.
There is no curriculum for K through third grade. And so if that's in sex education, so if that's the case, then what are we doing right now? Why is this even necessary?
Florida Democratic and openly gay Senator Chevron Jones argued the bill is a political move that is hurtful to the LGBTQ community. Critics refer to it as the Don't Say Gay bill, even though the bill does not specifically prohibit the use of the word gay. The spokesperson for Governor Ron DeSantis, however, on her personal Twitter account, has called it something very different, the anti-grooming bill. Grooming, a predatory practice used by sex offenders to gain trust and seduce children, which is not in the bill either.
There is an assertion that LGBTQ people simply by existing are a threat to children. That is bigotry. It's at the core of this bill.
The bill now heads to the desk of Governor Ron DeSantis, who is expected to sign it into law.
I think it's inappropriate to be injecting those matters like a transgenderism into a kindergarten classroom.
And to those who think you can legislate gay people away, I'm sorry. You cannot.
Even with the bill all but sure to become law, young people in Florida still voicing their opposition to it and leveraging social media, traveling to Florida's capital, and staging protests, including classroom walkouts. Brings us to our specific question of the morning. Do you think kids should be taught about gender identity and sexual orientation in school? You can let us know what you think by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote or connecting to us via our Facebook page. We'll be back with Health Watch next.
Topping Health Watch this morning, concussions may lead to a higher risk of kids developing mental health problems. And that's according to a new study. Mandy Gaither has a look at the research and what parents need to know.
Concussions in kids' mental health. New research suggests a link between the two.
Some of the primary symptoms after a concussion can include things like changes in mood, anxious thoughts, changes in behavior, irritability, that sort of thing.
The Canadian study published in JAMA Network Open examined records over a 10-year period between 2010 and 2020 of kids between the ages of 5 and 18 who had a concussion or orthopedic injury. None had a mental health diagnosis before being hurt. Researchers found that concussed youth had a 40% increased risk of developing a mental health issue compared with children the same age and sex with an orthopedic injury. Those who had a concussion also had an increased risk of self-harming and undergoing psychiatric hospitalization compared to those with an orthopedic injury. Kelly McNally, co-director of the Complex Concussion Clinic at Nationwide Children's Hospital, says parents should be aware.
I think a primary thing for parents to do is just to keep that conversation rolling with their children. So if they have had an injury, ask them, how are they feeling? How are they doing emotionally? How are they coping?
If there are any red flags, such as mood changes, being withdrawn, or your child isn't enjoying activities they once did, McNally says get help.
We don't want parents to be afraid for their children to play sports, but it does provide information to parents to help empower them to help get the right help for their children if they are seeing mental health symptoms after something like a concussion.
McNally says it's important to seek care early if there are any concerns about mental health problems. She says issues can be treated more easily and quicker the earlier it's identified. Night shift workers may be at risk of losing more than just a regular sleeping schedule, and that's according to new research. Study published by the Journal of Occupational and Environmental Medicine revealed night shifts can cause memory loss and other brain function issues. Researchers analyzed more than 18,000 participants, testing their decision-making abilities and impulse control. Results showed nighttime workers scored lower than others. It also says it can affect alertness levels and visual focus. Other studies say these shifts can have other health complications such as heart disease and diabetes. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Coming up, Joplin experiences a tragedy as an officer-involved shooting sees the loss of life from one of JPD's own.
Get us a little sunshine here and we'll warm up into the 50s after another chilly morning start. And remember, we've got snow on the way, the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Pittsburgh police released the name of the victim found in a house on 4th Street.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5:31. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip in the Skywatch Weather Center.
6:38 is what we'll call our magical time over 7th and Rangeline for sunrise across the 4 states. 30 degrees is where we stand at Joplin Regional Airport right now. Winds shifting back and forth, but we remain clear on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. A little light cloud cover, much lighter than what we experienced yesterday. Should be a gorgeous, gorgeous sunrise and begin us a little warm up as well, because we've only got 3 places that we see Chanute, Iola. It wouldn't take Yates Center off the board. They actually fell down. So 2 places, Chanute and Iola, sitting right at the freezing mark. 30 in Lamar and Carthage, 27 in Miami, 29 in Fort Scott and Nevada. But big change today. We will be able to go from the 40s that we had on Monday and Tuesday into the 50s for today. Top out around 53, 54 degrees. Now let's talk about our impending changes that we have. There's the increased cloud cover for tonight. Watch the snow for our far northern counties. It really comes down there up by Kansas City and north of that. And then as we progress through Thursday, kind of it stays up to the north, but we're a long way from being over. Thursday night, there we go, develops into snow, pushes through from west to east, kind of all encompassing there as well. And by the time we get into Friday morning, snow still coming down, probably about an inch of accumulation and colder temperatures on Friday and Saturday. The alert day indicating a winter weather advisory for our far northern counties until 6 a.m. on Friday.
All right.
Not widespread watches and warning. All the winter storm warnings, they actually stay north of our highlighted counties, but they stretch north of Kansas City all the way to the Nebraska and Iowa state lines. So the fact that we just have winter weather advisories, take that as a win.
All right.
They can deal with the heavier stuff.
Of course, we'll have the latest here. We'll keep our eye on it.
I guarantee we will. How about that?
For sure.
You put me on the spot. I had to back it up, right?
Well, I knew you would.
I had to come through.
All right. Thanks, Michael. Well, a somber night in the 4 states. Community members gathered at Joplin's Cunningham Park last night for a vigil following yesterday afternoon's deadly shootings. Joplin police officer and suspect are dead. 2 other officers are in the hospital, 1 in critical condition, 1 listed as serious but stable. 4 staters everywhere joined the department in mourning and prayers. Police have not yet released the names of the officers who were shot or the suspect. Tuesday afternoon's events unfolded at 2 sites in Joplin. KOAM's Shannon Becker reports.
Afternoon, about 1:20, Joplin police officers responded to a disturbance near 4th and Geneva. As they arrived, they encountered a subject that was involved. In an exchange of gunfire, both officers were injured. That suspect then fled in a Joppa police vehicle to a second location. Another exchange of gunfire at 9th and Connecticut. We learned the suspect was injured in that exchange of gunfire, no further threat to the public, and a third Joppa police officer was injured there as well. All 3 officers were transported to area hospitals. This evening at 7 o'clock at Cunningham Park in Joplin, law enforcement from all over the area, along with the public, joined in praying for those 3 officers. We anticipate more information from Joplin Police tomorrow. Missouri State Highway Patrol, Division of Drugs and Crime Control are investigating these officer-involved shootings. In Joplin, I'm Shannon Becker, KOAM News.
Joplin Police Department has scheduled a news conference for 9 this morning to provide more information on the case. Area law enforcement agencies have posted some thoughts on social media. The Duquesne Police Department calls for prayers for the officers and their families, adding, quote, "No Duquesne officer was shot, but he was first on scene immediately after. That can carry a heavy toll as well." Many other departments have sent messages similar to this one from the Newton County Sheriff's Office. It says, quote, "Our thoughts and prayers are with any EMS, fire, and police that responded to the scenes today. Our thoughts and prayers are with the dispatchers that took the calls. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families of the officers that were shot. Our thoughts and prayers for the entire Joplin community." You can watch for updates on this still developing story on the KOAMNewsNow.com and the KOAM News app. And there's an update to the story we broke yesterday about the woman whose body was found in a house on 4th Street in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh police released the name of the victim, and that victim's name, Misty Watson Sorensen. As you might recall, Pittsburgh police are treating her death as a possible homicide. Investigators are awaiting an autopsy report. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation's Crime Scene Response Team is helping with the case, along with investigators from the Crawford County Sheriff's Office and member agencies of the Tri-State Major Case Squad. While academics are an important part of school, the McDonald County School District recognized that there are other important life lessons that should be taught in school. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky has more on how Senior Day is teaching students valuable lessons.
As adults, we may catch ourselves saying, "I wish I had learned that in school," while seniors at McDonald County High School won't have to.
We're calling it Senior Day Adulting 101.
McDonald County seniors are just months away from graduation. And while they're so close to freedom, they're also close to all the responsibilities that come along with it. So their school is preparing them.
We've got 11 different sessions, and we've been involving a bunch of people in the community to come help us with these. One of our sessions is auto mechanic stuff, how to change a tire, how to check your oil.
Students also learn skills like registering to vote, creating a resume, and more. For students like Dason Fickle, the thought of entering the real world can be scary.
Well, I'm definitely a little worried about it, but I'm happy that my school has prepared me to be able to face the challenges that are coming ahead.
Fickle is getting ready to attend the University of Arkansas in the fall, so the skills he's learning will be useful to him very soon.
We're doing the adulting classes. I chose to learn how to study in college and how to write my resume and a cover letter. All things that I think will be very valuable for me.
The biggest message the school wants their students to hear: we're here for you.
Nobody's perfect, and you're going to have to live through a bunch of different experiences, a lot of learning opportunities. So we're just trying to prep you so you don't have to go through those without any awareness of them. But if you do hit a bump in the road, your school's here for you, and the people here in the community are here for you.
In Anderson, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
This is the first time the high school has hosted an event like this.
Tanya, if you were out to the far east of southwest Missouri, thine eyes did not deceive you. You probably saw a snowflake or two come down yesterday. No accumulation, dry air won out. But yeah, we actually did have some snow that tried to fall. Today, no threat about that, as we'll be up into the 50s. Increasing clouds as we get through the afternoon. Remember, tomorrow we begin to develop snow for our far northern counties. At Thursday night, it'll be mainly snow that works in Thursday night into Friday morning. About an inch of accumulation, of course, elevated areas going to see more than that, especially when you push into the Ozarks and Ouachita regions to the east. You get a chance for probably a couple inches down there.
Well, this morning we're discussing a controversial bill that's now on its way to the governor's desk in Florida. Florida Senate has passed the bill that carries a lot of controversy and pushback, known as the Parental Rights in Education Bill. It's also known by a different name to its opponents. They're calling it the Don't Say Gay Bill. And some worry it will harm children who are a part of the LGBTQ community. That brings us to our something to talk about.
Our question, go ahead. You pose the question. You want me to pose the question?
I can read the question, you
All
read
right,
the results.
I got it.
Do you think kids should be taught about gender identity and sexual orientation?
Right now, it's on you. 95% say no, compared to only 5% saying yes. Make your voice heard each and every morning. KOAMnewsnow.com/vote or connect to us via our Facebook page.
There you go. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Women opera performers surprise the commuters of London with their very own performance as they go on their way. Plus, U.S. officials expect Putin to escalate things as the U.S. and other countries continue to sanction Russia. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, the House of Representatives plans to proceed on a bill that clamps down on Russia. This bill would in part ban Russian energy imports and challenge Moscow's place in the World Trade Organization. And it comes as U.S. officials expect Russian President Vladimir Putin to escalate action in his neighboring country. John Lawrence reports.
Ukrainians remaining defiant in the face of danger, protecting their country from the Russian invasion.
It's our land, independent. Nobody can enter our land. And if someone is entering, we have to answer.
At least 474 civilians have been killed in Ukraine since the attack started nearly 3 weeks ago, according to the United Nations Human Rights Office. And U.S. officials expect the threat from Russian President Vladimir Putin will increase.
He's escalating. He's more prepared than ever to consider doing some unreasonable damage and terrible atrocities in Ukraine. Plus, he's looking for an opportunity to strike out at NATO.
The U.S. is sending 2 Patriot missile batteries to Poland to be used as a, quote, defensive deployment aimed at countering potential threats to the U.S. and its allies.
The pressure has risen a little bit, and that Putin is feeling it. He can't get back at the United States for the increasingly tough sanctions, so he's going to use what he has, which is the threat of weapons of mass destruction.
The UN says more than 2 million people have fled Ukraine since Russia invaded, and they're hoping for an end to the fighting.
We're not Nazi. We're just on other land with hands up. Please, we want to live. We want to be happy. Stop shooting, please.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
On Tuesday, Poland released a statement saying it was willing to deploy all of its fighter jets to Ramstein Air Base in Germany for the U.S. to give to Ukraine. However, the U.S. turned down the offer, saying it was, quote, untenable. South Korea is reporting more than 300,000 daily COVID infections, and that's a new record for the country since the pandemic first began. The surge comes just a week after the country eased COVID restrictions, allowing cafes and restaurants to stay open longer. At that time, South Korea was recording over 200,000 daily infections. These latest figures, however, emerge ahead of the country's presidential elections, which begin today, setting the stage for the winner to lead South Korea through the next phase of the pandemic. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A somber night in the 4 states as community members gather at Joplin's Cunningham Park for a vigil following yesterday afternoon's deadly shootings. Joplin police officer and suspect are dead. 2 other officers are in the hospital, 1 in critical condition, 1 listed as serious but stable. There's an update to the story we broke yesterday about the woman whose body was found in a house on 4th Street in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh police released the name of the victim. That name, Misty Watson Sorensen. As you might recall, Pittsburgh police are treating her death as a possible homicide. Investigators are awaiting an autopsy report. Kansas Bureau of Investigation's Crime Scene Response Team is helping with the case, along with investigators from the Crawford County Sheriff's Office and member agencies of the Tri-State Major Case Squad. Well, this is Weather Preparedness Week, a perfect time to make sure you're ready for any possible severe weather this year. Officials say you should have a plan ready in the event of an emergency, know where you and your family would go and what to bring. Also, have an emergency kit and supplies ready in your safe room. Stuff like a first aid kit, non-perishable food, and plenty of water. Another tip, make sure you stay aware of what storm systems are doing. You can do that through the KOAM Skywatch weather app. View an updated radar and get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. The KOAM Skywatch weather app. High school seniors in McDonald County got the chance to take a break from academics and learn how to adult instead. Senior Day Adulting 101 gave students the chance to learn some essential skills to function in the real world. Skills like registering to vote, creating a resume, applying for your first apartment, and more. People from all over the community volunteered their time to teach various workshops. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Yeah, Tanya, you were talking about Severe Weather Preparedness Week. Today happens to be the concentration on lightning safety. And, we've got a number of sayings just to help people remember. Of course, everybody knows for floods, turn around, don't drown. Well, there actually is one for thunder and lightning. When it roars, go indoors. That is because there are an estimated 25 million cloud-to-ground lightning flashes around the globe each year. Think about that, 25 million. Let's talk a little bit about our Wednesday as our temperatures are going to reach up into the low to mid 50s. A little more sunshine than what we've encountered past couple of days, so that will be delightful. And then we kick it into gear for Thursday. We're going to start with snow for our far northern counties that have winter weather advisories running until 6 a.m. On Friday. And after that rolls through Thursday morning, watch how this becomes more widespread for Thursday evening into the nighttime hours. Mostly snow. We don't have a very huge line of the wintry mix. So we'll kind of call that a winter as our temperature is going to plummet pretty quick down there from the north. About an inch of accumulation, work into the Ozarks and Ouachita regions where you've got the elevated areas. Could see as much as 2 inches right there. Let those alerts expire, hopefully at 6 a.m. on Friday, and then just hang in there because the snow's not going to go anywhere on Friday and Saturday. Going to be cold. Not only, look at those overnight lows, down to 14 in between Friday and Saturday, 24 in between Saturday and Sunday. Sunday gives us a little reprieve, though. We'll get back up into the mid-50s just in time for daylight savings time. And we'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this. And still pretty chilly outside on this Wednesday. I just walked back in. Now, the nice thing is the wind not playing the role that it has, like it did on Monday. I think yesterday was too blustery. We did pick up a couple 20-mile-an-hour gusts, but we're watching it shift as well and work in. Start to try to get a little westerly flow to it, and that's an indicator of where that system's coming from. We don't have a whole lot of action right now on the radar. You can tell it's just making its way through central Nebraska, hasn't even made that southerly dip, so kind of a slow mover. But it does result in a number of advisories and warnings. Now the purple, that's a winter weather advisory for our far northern counties. This is for tomorrow into Friday. And then the pink, that's an indicator of a winter storm warning. Yeah, winter storm warning popping up in March. You can kind of trace the purple and pink back there toward the west to see exactly where the storm is going to roll in from. Here's a national view of the radar. Thunderstorm activity down to the southeastern portion of the U.S. today. Temperature is going to be up into the low to mid 50s. Good looking Wednesday afternoon. Our Thursday afternoon temperature is not too bad. Then the snow kicks in. We'll break down that timeline when we return in just a bit.
Coming up, a shootout in Joplin takes the life of one police officer and wounds two others.
Waiting on sunrise that will actually bring us the warmest temperatures that we've had so far this work week. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Pittsburgh police released the name of the victim in a suspicious death investigation.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
Two factors at play that I'm going to find the silver lining on as over 7th and Rangeline. It only stands at 28 degrees, but the humidity 88%. We like that this time in the morning because that means we don't have to worry about elevated fire concerns later on, and absolutely loving that wind column right there as it remains calm. That means that we don't have that whipping out of the north, providing us with wind chills down in the teens like we have past couple of days. This is what we'll be keeping our eyes on. Let's remove the cloud cover here so we can check out the winter storm beginning to formulate just on the east side of the Rockies, making its way through central Nebraska. This thing will organize pretty well and then start to make a little southerly push for us on Thursday. We're going to get through Wednesday unscathed for the most part, and we don't have any advisories or warnings in effect for today. Those will kick in tomorrow, be mainly for our far northern counties and then stretch north of Kansas City up to the Nebraska and Iowa state lines. As far as what we're looking at temperature-wise, still hanging on to 32 in Iola, our one place at the freezing mark. Everybody else sitting mid to high 20s. Day planner going to bring us a little additional sunshine than what we've encountered past couple of days. Let's break into Wednesday night into Thursday. So once again, out to the west, your left-hand side of your screen. Here comes some snow for Thursday morning. Far northern counties is where we'll really have a morning impact. And remember, the winter storm warnings get to the north of us. But by the time we get into Thursday evening, now we get widespread. There's that southerly drop on it. Now you'll notice it switches over to snow pretty quick. That's a good thing. We like that we don't have a whole lot of wintry mix coming in. But it carries us all the way into Friday morning. And so our travel impacts not only for Friday morning, but also Friday evening, afternoon and evening for the old commute. And the snow's sticking around because not only is Saturday afternoon going to be cold, those overnight lows, 14 and 24, before we get our rebound on Sunday.
There you go. Well, it's going to be cold. Brace for it. It's still technically winter.
Yeah,
not meteorologically.
Don't get rid of all the snow gear as of yet.
Yeah, I'm ready for spring. It'll happen soon enough.
I'm ready for July.
Summer, yeah. The heat, bring it on.
Right.
All right, thanks, Michael. Well, last night ended on a somber note in the 4 states. Community members gathered at Joplin's Cunningham Park for a vigil following yesterday afternoon's deadly shootings. A Joplin police officer and suspect are dead. 2 other officers are in the hospital, one in critical condition, one listed as serious but stable. Area residents came from everywhere to join the department in mourning and prayers. Police have not yet released the names of the officers who were shot or the suspect. Now, Tuesday afternoon's events unfolded at 2 sites in Joplin. KOAM's Shannon Becker reports.
About 1:20, Joplin police officers responded to a disturbance near 4th and Geneva. As they arrived, they encountered a subject that was involved. In an exchange of gunfire, both officers were injured. That suspect then fled in a Joplin police vehicle to a second location. Another exchange of gunfire in 9th and Connecticut. We learned the suspect was injured in that exchange of gunfire, no further threat to the public. And a third Joplin police officer was injured there as well. All 3 officers were transported to area hospitals. This evening at 7 o'clock at Cunningham Park in Joplin, law enforcement from all over the area, along with the public, joined in praying for those 3 officers. We anticipate more information from Joplin Police tomorrow. Missouri State Highway Patrol, Division of Drugs and Crime Control are investigating these officer-involved shootings. In Joplin, I'm Shannon Becker, KOAM News.
Joplin Police Department has scheduled a news conference for 9 this morning to provide more information on the case. Pittsburgh police released the name of the victim found in a house on 4th Street in Pittsburgh on Monday. The victim's name is Misty Watson Sorensen. As you might recall, Pittsburgh police are treating her death as a possible homicide. Investigators are awaiting an autopsy report. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation's Crime Scene Response Team is helping with the case, along with investigators from the Crawford County Sheriff's Office and member agencies of the Tri-State Major Case Squad. 2 weeks into Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and there is still no end in sight. The humanitarian crisis continues to grow. U.S. officials believe Vladimir Putin will only increase his attacks. Laura Podesta has the latest.
The United Nations says more than 2 million people have fled Ukraine since Russia's invasion last month. Many doing so as explosions can be heard in the distance.
Absolutely insane.
Valentina made it to Romania on a ferry after she and her boyfriend looked up online how to escape safely.
We have Tesla cars and we have all that amazing technology in our world, and here comes war, the stupid war.
UNICEF says half of all refugees are children. This Ukrainian police officer said goodbye to his crying son in Irpin as the family tries to stay ahead of the Russians. Multiple ceasefires have fallen apart, leaving thousands trapped in besieged cities. This violinist celebrated International Women's Day with a performance in a bomb shelter in Kharkiv.
Ukrainians have resisted fiercely.
CIA Director William Burns told lawmakers the war will only get uglier as Vladimir Putin presses on.
Try to grind down the Ukrainian military with no regard for civilian casualties.
President Biden announced a U.S. ban on Russian oil imports to ramp up pressure on Russia.
Putin's war is already hurting American families at the gas pump.
The president said he'll try to soften the impact. Lawmakers are considering a pause on the 18-cent federal gas tax. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Georgia is working to suspend its gas tax, and other states are moving toward doing the same. On this date in 1979, all 26 Major League Baseball teams are ordered by Commissioner Bowie Kuhn to allow equal access to all reporters, regardless of sex. The commissioner's order comes after Sports Illustrated reporter Melissa Lutke's successful lawsuit against MLB for refusing her access to clubhouses at Yankee Stadium during the 1977 World Series between the New York Yankees and Los Angeles Dodgers. Lutke claimed guards would stop her from entering clubhouses, and Commissioner Kuhn banned her from ever going into any team's locker room. Lutke's employer tried to negotiate with Kuhn. When that didn't work, they filed suit. Not only did Lutke win the suit, but in another first, the judge who presided over the case was Constance Baker Motley, the first black woman appointed as a federal judge.
And on top of that, Doris Burke at ESPN signing a brand new contract yesterday. Of course, Burke, the first female voice of a major Division I team that has now pretty much become the voice of not only the WNBA, but I would say as much as the NBA as well.
Cool.
That's tremendous news about Doris yesterday. She is so top-notch. She's one of those people I listen to, and I'm like, man, I wish I could sound like that on air.
What a great day for that to happen on, too. International Women's Day.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah.
Temperatures right now ranging from, say about 23 is our low point in Parsons, and we're barely hanging on to the 32. We're down to one of those, and that's up in Iowa, 27 in Miami, and Joplin sitting at 30. Weather trend for today, bring us some of that sunshine, please, because by the time we get to Friday and the snow begins to roll in, Thursday evening into Friday morning, we're all going to be bundled up, looking at about an inch of snow on the ground when it's all said and done.
All right, that's a look at this morning's top stories in weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Julie Smith and Holly Miner from the K-State Extension Service stopped by to tell us about Walk Kansas. Plus, after an all-night search, a 5-year-old boy is found safe in San Antonio. And one of the impacts of COVID-19 has been the loss of senses, and now researchers are testing a new way to restore them. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning, a group of wildfires known as the Chipola Complex has now burned more than 29,000 acres in the Florida Panhandle. Most of that is from the Bertha Swamp Fire. It's prompted evacuations in Calhoun County. Fire officials say it's only 10% contained. Gusty winds and dry conditions are fueling the flames. Well, staying in Washington, in what could be a blockbuster trade, multiple reports say the Seattle Seahawks are sending superstar quarterback Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos. 33-year-old Super Bowl winning quarterback has played his entire 10-year career in Seattle. Wilson led the Seahawks to 8 playoff appearances, winning the Super Bowl in 2014 against the Broncos, giving Seattle its only Super Bowl title. In exchange for Wilson, the Broncos will reportedly send quarterback Drew Lock, tight end Noah Fant, and defensive lineman Shelby Harris to Seattle. Denver will also hand multiple draft picks over to Seattle. Authorities have found a missing 5-year-old boy after an all-night search in Texas. The Bandera County Sheriff's Office says a search helicopter located Cameron Michael walking across the field Tuesday morning. The boy was reunited with his mother and grandmother. They say he is doing well despite being wet. The child went missing around dinner time Monday evening and spent the night out in temperatures that dropped to nearly 40 degrees. Several agencies searched for Cameron with the help of trailing dogs and San Antonio Police Department helicopter. Good news, they found him. That's a look at today's top national stories. We'll be right back with Julie Smith and Holly Miner from the K-State Extension Service. We're talking WAC, Kansas, and how you can participate.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on this Wildcat Wednesday. A couple of special guests in the studio, Julie Smith and Holly Miner. Julie certainly has been here before from the K-State Extension District. Forgive me for this, folks. I was talking to Holly Miner beforehand because I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Holly. It just dawned on her to tell me that this is her first time in studio. Because as much as we've talked to Holly in the past, it was via Zoom. It's so nice to have you in the studio and meet you in person. Thank you so much. So much of March is devoted to health and wellness because we start to get a little sunshine, a little bit warmer temps. And K-State, a driving force between what's known as WAC, Kansas. Julie, I'll have you start with it. It's a program that people are going to be familiar with the name, but might not know exactly what it entails.
That's correct. So this is the 21st year for WAC Kansas through K-State Research and Extension, and it's an 8-week program designed just to get people up and moving. Spring is coming, and promoting exercise in general. So it's WAC Kansas, but it actually you can track your miles through all of your minutes that you exercise.
And you bring up a great point because Holly was quick to point out this is not just about walking. Holly, this is about being active, and you brought up a number of different activities that perhaps some of us take part in each and every day that we don't think about.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be just walking. You can ride your bike, you can dance, you can go out and play tennis, you can run around the track, you can do anything that gets your heart rate up to a moderate to vigorous activity.
And the great thing about this is it makes it a whole lot easier to complete a challenge or a task when we have a goal set at the end. And I understand, Julie, that 423 miles has a certain importance here when we talk about WAC Kansas.
There's actually, so that's one of the challenges, but there's 3 challenges. So you're in a team-based activity, and you can make it even harder. So if you want to go farther than that, there's 3 different challenges you can pick. So you can go a smaller amount of miles or larger and really challenge your team throughout the process.
423 miles being if you walked across the state of Kansas, and I love the fact that you say this is team-based. What does the team-based attitude do, number one, toward kind of making my goal a little bit more conquerable, but also to involving friends and family?
Well, I think for our team, it's just a lot of accountability. When you're logging your miles and you get in and you realize there's someone that hasn't been logging their miles, you can encourage them. Or if somebody's really doing a great job, then it kind of motivates me to get out and walk more because I didn't do my part. So that's the team based.
When we talk about tracking, Holly, how has the K-State Extension District and through the WAC Kansas program, how have you kind of set that up to make it easy for people? Because you don't want it to be laborious,
right,
to be able to track, like you said, even your moderate exercise activity. How do we go about tracking that?
So that's all through the same website that you sign up on, and I think you have the information on that we can share with the viewers. But so it is all through that website that we track those miles, and they can go on every day and track them, or they can go on weekly and track them. However it is that whatever's convenient for each person to do.
As you two have been a part of the K-State Extension District, and like Julie said, this has been going on for 2 decades now. What are some of the positive aspects that you've seen grow out of the WAC Kansas program specifically, and have you seen people return and almost make it part of their annual lives?
We've seen a lot of individuals return, and then also companies make this part of like their corporate wellness. So we have a lot of companies that do that every year. Can't remember what else you asked.
We had a lot of people calling and asking us this year, when's Walk Kansas start? We're ready to get going and we want to do this. We have a special event coming up to kick off Walk Kansas.
Let's talk about that. I would love to hear about that.
That's on March 26th. It's a Wildcat and the Southwind District are joining together. We're going to do a Wild Wind walk run. It is going to be in Chanute at 9 o'clock in the morning. And if you register for that, you also get the registration for Walk Kansas and a t-shirt. So
and I bet you they'll let you put that toward your miles too.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
Right. A little sneak in early one day.
Coming off of the pandemic and the fact, like I said, Holly and I have been doing Zoom interviews, didn't realize this, for probably a year now. But I would like for each of you to chime in from your perspective from the Wildcat District. Now that people are starting to get out and about and we're getting back to, I'm not going to say normal, but we're beginning to get fresh air and be around other people. What does it meant for your district? Do you think you've been busier? Have you seen people excited about it? What's kind of the general lay of the land from your aspect?
I think people are excited to be able to get back together. There's a lot of social that we miss. You know, we are very social people and we miss that, being able to be around other people and have that contact. And I think also just being able to, you know, like touch your neighbor or, you know, do the fist bump is fine, but people like that physical touch. We are very social people and we like that. And so being able to get back out and be around people again and really be able to converse and have that, even a work but a personal communication at a different level that we missed.
We do.
You know, we missed that.
That was perfectly put. Julie, contact information. How do we get in touch with you?
Well, you can contact us at any of our offices in the 4 counties, but our main office in Independence, Kansas, for Walk Kansas. There's the Independence office phone number, and then also you can email either Holly or I with any questions on the sign-up process.
So once again, folks, this is the 21st, right? 21st year?
It started in 2001.
That's correct.
So 21st year of Walk Kansas, and once again, it's a fun way to track your miles, and like Julie said, a great way to get family, friends, coworkers, peers involved in some outdoor activity, make us all healthier now that we are able to take the masks off every once in a while and enjoy some of that fresh air. Sure. Holly Miner, thank you so much for visiting KOAM and not via Zoom. Julia, always great to see you.
You too. Thanks for having us.
Any questions that you have, whether it be related to Walk Kansas or any of the K-State Extension District specialties, please look them up. They are both just a wealth of information. Of course, you can find this entire interview on our website as well at KOAMnewsnow.com, and we'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, losing your sense of smell and taste are symptoms of COVID-19, and some patients can still experience the problems months after the infection. Now researchers in Philadelphia are testing a new way to restore those senses. Stephanie Stahl has one woman's story.
Nancy D'Amato is finally able to enjoy eating again. She lost her ability to taste and smell after a bout with COVID-19 last February.
It was really, really jarring. I mean, I lost it instantaneously.
It's often one of the first symptoms of COVID that's usually temporary. But for some patients like Nancy, the inability to taste and smell again lasts and becomes a COVID long-haul symptom.
It was life-changing that I couldn't enjoy any food. I didn't want to eat. It was so depressing.
With limited treatment options, Nancy found an intriguing research project at Jefferson Health.
I really feel that it's helping me.
The Jefferson research is testing platelet-rich plasma, PRP, from the patient's own blood to restore smell. It's been used to heal injuries and regrow hair. Now, instead of injections, Dr. Rosen and his team are using a biodegradable sponge infused with PRP.
We put it up very high in the nose where all the smell fibers are located. It gets absorbed through the lining of the nose. It basically helps those cells that have been damaged by the COVID virus to start regenerating.
He says of the 9 COVID patients who've received PRP, 8 have responded.
I'm able to start to enjoy some flavors, food again.
After 5 treatments once a month, Nancy says her sense of smell and taste are slowly coming back. She's able to enjoy her perfume again and is back to wine tastings. Stephanie Stahl, CBS News, Philadelphia.
Rosen says PRP therapy has helped other patients who have trouble with taste and smell. He hopes to get a grant to expand the research on COVID-19 patients. Wearing a mask indoors and on transportation for at least 2 weeks after a community achieves 70 to 90% vaccination would not only prevent hospitalizations and deaths, but would save money for businesses and healthcare systems. That's according to a new modeling study in the Lancet Public Health. Currently less than 70% of the U.S. population is fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Transgender people might not be getting the care they need. Researchers in New Zealand say only half of transgender people report supportive care from doctors. Patients with more supportive care experience less psychological distress. And a new study finds a link between shift work and poor working memory and slower mental processing speed. Research in occupational and environmental medicine also found working outside the normal day-night cycle is also associated with lower levels of alertness and focus, which can increase the risk of injuries at work. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Coming up, a shootout in Joplin takes the life of one police officer and wounds 2 others.
It's going to be a good-looking 4-state morning, but we're going to end up talking about snow by the end of the week, the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Pittsburgh police released the name of the victim in a suspicious death investigation.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6:31. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first let's go to Michael Hayslip, Skywatch Weather Center.
6:31 means we are 7 minutes away from sunrise. Sky's already beginning to lighten outside of Television City. Going to have to do a little window scraping. I was out in the parking lot. Looks like majority of the windshields that are facing to the east are the ones that accumulated the most frost on them, as we got most people below the freezing point right now, mid to high 20s. But this afternoon, with that sunshine kicking in, up into the low to mid 50s. Now we know we've got big changes coming. That will take its form on Thursday. First off, clouds grow overnight. Thursday, northern counties with some morning snow. Then as we get into Thursday evening, widespread as it moves in from the northwest down to the southeast, looking at about an inch of accumulation and going to present some travel problems because it'll be coming down for Friday morning and going to stick around. Overnight lows down to 14. So Friday afternoon, evening, and Friday night. Let's all be prepared and give ourselves extra time.
All right. Well, last night ended on a sober note in the 4 states. Community members gathered at Joplin's Cunningham Park for a vigil following yesterday afternoon's deadly shootings. Joplin police officer and suspect are dead. 2 other officers are in the hospital, one in critical condition, one listed as serious but stable. Area residents came from everywhere to join the department in mourning and prayers. Police have not yet released the names of the officers who were shot or the suspect. Yesterday afternoon's events unfolded at 2 sites in Joplin. KOAM's Shannon Becker reports.
About 1:20, Joplin police officers responded to a disturbance near 4th and Geneva. As they arrived, they encountered a subject that was involved. In an exchange of gunfire, both officers were injured. That suspect then fled in a Joplin police vehicle to a second location. Another exchange of gunfire at 9th and Connecticut. We learned the suspect was injured in that exchange of gunfire, no further threat to the public. And a third Joplin police officer was injured there as well. All 3 officers were transported to area hospitals. This evening at 7 o'clock at Cunningham Park in Joplin, law enforcement from all over the area, along with the public, joined in praying for those 3 officers. We anticipate more information from Joplin Police tomorrow. Missouri State Highway Patrol, Division of Drugs and Crime Control are investigating these officer-involved shootings. In Joplin, I'm Shannon Becker, KOAM News.
And again, the Joplin Police Department has scheduled a news conference for 9 o'clock this morning to provide more information on the case. Pittsburgh police released the name of the victim found in a house on 4th Street in Pittsburgh on Monday. The victim's name, Misty Watson Sorensen. As you might recall, Pittsburgh police are treating her death as a possible homicide. Investigators are awaiting an autopsy report. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation's crime scene response team is helping with the case, along with investigators from the Crawford County Sheriff's Office and member agencies of the Tri-State Major Case Squad. Right now, international investigations into potential war crimes and atrocities committed by Russia in Ukraine are underway. Probes that the U.S. State Department says it fully supports. And now a senior U.S. defense official says most of Ukraine is covered by some sort of Russian surface-to-air missile capabilities. Cole Higgins has the latest.
Back-to-back explosions ringing out from the darkness and lighting up the pitch-black sky in the Ukrainian city of Mykolaiv, where people resisting Russia's lethal invasion are setting up tires at the city's entrances to set ablaze when Russian forces approach.
We will fight and defend our land no matter what the price.
Despite using all of the forces it had concentrated in and around Ukraine, Russia is still making very little progress. NATO's current intelligence assessment suggests Russian forces are unlikely to make much progress in the foreseeable future.
He has no sustainable political endgame in the face of what is going to continue to be fierce resistance from Ukrainians.
Our analysts assess that Putin is unlikely to be deterred by such setbacks and instead may escalate, essentially doubling down to achieve Ukrainian disarmament and neutrality, to prevent it from further integrating with the U.S. and NATO if it doesn't reach some diplomatic negotiation. We assess Putin feels aggrieved the West does not give him proper deference and perceives this as a war he cannot afford to lose.
A top U.S. State Department official says she believes the war will only end
when Putin realizes that this adventure has put his own leadership standing at risk with his own military, with his own people.
I'm Cole Higgins reporting.
Russia has now proposed another ceasefire in 5 Ukrainian cities and other smaller towns starting today at 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Ukrainian armed forces acknowledged Russia's proposal and added, quote, "It is difficult to trust the occupier." On this date, back in 1959, the first Barbie doll goes on display at the American Toy Fair in New York City. The iconic doll has undergone some dramatic changes since her somewhat adult beginnings. Her appearance was modeled on a German doll named Lily, originally marketed as a racy gag gift, but eventually became extremely popular with children. Yeah, it did. Toy maker Mattel purchased the rights and made its own version. With its sponsorship of the Mickey Mouse Club, Mattel became one of the first toy companies to broadcast commercials, and a demand for the doll skyrocketed. Barbie also came with her critics over the years. Many claim the doll provided little girls with an unrealistic body image. But that didn't stop the doll's sales from topping $1 billion annually, making Barbie a bona fide global icon. We'll have more on Barbie's debut on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Doll's got to be in the Toy Hall of Fame, right?
Oh, I would hope so.
You'd be amazed what is and what's not in the Toy Hall of
Okay,
Fame.
so I still have like 26 of my Barbie dolls.
Do you really?
From my childhood. And a couple of them from my mom's childhood, like her original Skipper
You're
doll.
sitting on like an eBay treasure trove, I bet
Yeah.
you. 7-day forecast with temps in the 50s for today and tomorrow afternoon, and then tomorrow evening. Here comes the widespread snow, dropping about an inch by the time we are done Friday morning.
That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, Apple debuts a brand new budget version of its popular iPhone. Plus, Florida lawmakers go ahead with a bill prohibiting talk of sexual orientation in schools. Do you think children should learn about sexual orientation in school? We'll let you weigh in. We'll be right back. In Consumer Watch this morning, President Joe Biden is escalating the crackdown on Moscow, announcing the U.S. will ban Russian oil, natural gas, and coal imports. The stiffer sanctions against Russia could have an impact on consumers. Isabel Rosales has a closer look at the consequences this could have on the already skyrocketing gas prices.
The U.S. is stepping up sanctions against Russia. This time, an all-out full ban on Russian oil, natural gas, and coal imports.
This is a step that we're taking to inflict further pain on Putin. But there will be cost as well here in the United States.
On Tuesday, President Biden announcing the latest crackdown on Moscow, hoping to force President Putin to pull back its escalating attack on Ukraine.
I'm going to do everything I can to minimize Putin's price hike here at home.
The announcement comes after growing calls from Ukraine for allies to ban Russian energy imports. The U.S. ban does not include European allies. Experts say the move could be more effective if EU allies took part. But unlike the U.S., Europe relies heavily on energy imported from Russia.
Compared to the EU, which imports about 4.5 million barrels of Russian crude oil, the U.S. is relatively safe without Russian imports.
The U.S. could replace the relatively small amount of fuel it gets from Russia with other imports, including from the Middle East, but there could be consequences. The ban could send already skyrocketing oil and gas prices even higher, impacting consumers at the pump.
That will have a short-term effect, and gas prices are going to continue going up as a result of that. We are now looking at $4.19 a gallon.
The Biden administration was facing growing pressure from both Republicans and Democrats to impose further sanctions on Russia.
Anything we can do right now to limit Russia's ability to raise funds, we need to be doing.
In Washington, I'm Isabel Rosales.
On Tuesday, AAA says the average price for a gallon of gas in the U.S. hit $4.17. That's the highest recorded average price of regular gasoline in U.S. history. Stocks lost more ground on Tuesday. The Dow dropped 184 points. The Nasdaq lost 35. S&P 500 fell 30. More companies are pulling out of Russia. McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and Starbucks all made announcements yesterday. McDonald's is closing about 850 locations but will continue to pay its employees. Pepsi says it will no longer sell soda but will continue making baby food in Russia as part of a humanitarian effort. Apple debuts a new budget iPhone SE yesterday at its first event of 2022. CEO Tim Cook says it has a better battery life than its predecessor and comes with an improved chip for faster performance. The phone keeps its home button, but still doesn't have Face ID. Apple also released 2 new colors for the iPhone 13 and introduced a new iPad Air. That's it for Consumer Watch. Let's go over to Michael for something to talk about.
I just like the name of the new iPhone, Tanya. Bionic.
Ooh.
I know, it just makes you want to go Apple Bionic. This morning on the KOAM News Now, Instapoll discussing sexual orientation, gender identity, and whether or not it should be taught in schools. The Florida State Senate, passed a bill that carries a lot of controversy and pushback. It's also known as the Don't Say Gay bill, if you've probably seen stories about that online. Our question for you is, do you think kids should be taught about gender identity and sexual orientation in school? Right now, 92% of you say no, it should not be taught, compared to only 8% who say yes. We're going to come back, celebrate birthdays and anniversaries, but first, a trip to the Big Apple, where we see what's coming up on CBS Mornings with Gail.
Hello to you, I'm Gail King. Coming up and only on CBS Mornings, we will reveal the new commissioner of the National Women's Soccer League. And we'll talk to the new head about fixing the culture within the organization and increasing soccer's popularity. That's coming right up on CBS Mornings.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Harry Aiken. Corporal Aiken served in the Philippines during World War II. He served with the 3088th Quartermaster Company. During his service, he earned the Good Conduct Medal. His hometown, Quapaw, Oklahoma. We thank you, today's four-state hero, Harry Aiken.
Look at this, Josephine Hughes, her birthday balloon. She's ready for the cold weather with her hat on, and she's celebrating her second birthday. Josephine, a very happy birthday to you in Fredonia.
What a doll. In Girard, Sebastian Lohman turning 6 years old this year. That's a great picture there of Sebastian. Happy birthday.
Connor Shepard with a 9th birthday. Is that one of those NASA shirts? I'm trying to see what that is. It is. I love those NASA shirts, Connor. Happy birthday, man. He's in Arma.
All right. Colson Gulager turning 13 years old this year. Colson celebrating in Fort Scott. Welcome to the teenage years.
Bailey Carnell, the big number 22. Bailey, a very happy birthday to you. She celebrates in Erie.
And out in Oswego, Nicole Smith. Happy birthday to you. Turning 24 years old.
I wonder how long I wonder, the cat is just like, okay, let's snap the picture. Let's roll, Miss Nicole. I've got things to do. That's a great picture. I love that. Joseph King, he is celebrating his 32nd birthday. Nice looking sweatshirt right there, Joseph. And I want you to have a marvelous day in Parsons.
All right. And one of our many four-state heroes, Mr. Bill Hickman, celebrating birthday number 83 this year. We love that throwback pic there, Bill. Bill is in Deerfield, Missouri.
Carol Fleury, he is celebrating his 90th birthday. I'm a big fan of the headband right there. Carol, a very happy birthday in Arma.
Got him some wild hair going on
Love
there
that.
with that. All right, and Melinda Brown. How fitting. She is a Barbie.
That's great.
Celebrating her birthday on Barbie's birthday. Melinda is in Carl Junction.
If we have the wherewithal, it's one of those things, folks, that I'm going to tell you that I'm the guilty party behind this. Michael and his wonderful ideas. I think Michael's got wonderful ideas, and then of course they sit and simmer. If we were to do like a interesting, or I don't call it best, but like most interesting birthday pick that we got throughout the course of the year, Melinda's got to be our clubhouse leader.
Definitely for today.
Yeah, that's cool as can be right there. Great idea. Sam Jackson, a very happy birthday to Mr. Jackson as he celebrates in Orinoco.
All right, and in Oswego, Cheney McKibben. Happy birthday. What a beautiful smile there on Cheney. Hope you have a great day.
Special anniversary here with Gary and Susan Lofts as they celebrate their 48th anniversary. Now, they're both retired teachers. Susan, a history teacher, Gary, an art teacher. And in their retirement, they're still doing artwork. Now get this, Gary's going to be featured on a documentary called Big Kansas Road Trip, and featured for a mural he painted on the wall of a building in Arma in 2009. Pretty amazing right there, and congratulations to Gary and Susan.
Pretty cool. All right. And
who that is?
Our very own Mr. J-Dub McCoy.
Has he aged since you and I started here?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Because that's a recent picture. Because we just got those taken.
Happy birthday, my man.
And he looks just like he does when we started here. Yep.
He does, you're right.
He actually looks younger. What are you doing, J-Dub? I need your secret.
J-Dub's going Benjamin Button on us. How about that? Go and finish it off with a screen all to yourself, Miss Grayson, as she is now a teenager. Grayson McLaren, a very happy 13th birthday. She's at Frontenac Middle School. Everybody up there, wish Grayson a happy birthday here before spring break hits. Here's where you can send them in to. Birthdays at KOAMTV.com. You can also go to our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. Speaking of our website, here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club. All you have to do is go to our website and sign up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMNewsNow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
Well, if you're familiar with one iconic rockin' band, you may know a song by the name of theirs called Cold Gin. Well, now they've actually decided to dip their toe into the alcohol industry. We're going to find out what the name is when we transition over to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Detroit Rock City, probably not something that you would want to drink. We'll be back right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A somber night in the four states. Community members gathered at Joplin's Cunningham Park for a vigil following yesterday afternoon's deadly shootings. A Joplin police officer and suspect are dead. Two other officers are in the hospital, one in critical condition, one listed as serious but stable. And there's an update to a story we broke yesterday morning about the woman whose body was found in a house on 4th Street in Pittsburgh. Police have released the name of the victim. That name is Misty Watson Sorensen. As you might recall, Pittsburgh police are treating her death as a possible homicide. Investigators are awaiting an autopsy report. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation's crime scene response team is helping with the case, along with investigators from the Crawford County Sheriff's Office and member agencies of the Tri-State Major Case Squad. High school seniors in McDonald County got the chance to take a break from academics and learn how to adult instead. Senior Day Adulting 101 gave students the chance to learn some essential skills to function in the real world. Skills like registering to vote, creating a resume, applying for your first apartment, and more. People from all over the community volunteered their time to teach various workshops. And this is Weather Preparedness Week, a perfect time to make sure you're ready for any possible severe weather this year. Officials say you should have a plan ready in the event of an emergency. Know where you and your family would go and what to bring. Also, have an emergency kit and supplies ready in your safe room. Stuff like a first aid kit, non-perishable food, and plenty of water. Another tip, make sure you stay aware of what storm systems are doing. You can do that through the KOAM Skywatch weather app. View an updated radar and get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. KOAM Skywatch weather app.
What we find today, our next system is going to appear on Thursday. Jacket weather early on. Make it up into the low to mid 50s with sunshine later this afternoon. Let's put Future Track into motion and get ready for Thursday. We'll start with snow Thursday in our far northern counties. Not going to be widespread for Thursday morning. It will be widespread Thursday evening into the night. And also, too, watch how our temperatures drop down into the teens from Friday into Saturday, meaning the snow sticks around, picking up about an inch of accumulation.
All right. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making home-style macaroni and cheese in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Your morning news continues on KOAM. CBS Mornings next. The first criminal trial stemming from the January 6th Capitol assault has ended with a guilty verdict. Coming up on CBS Mornings, the message prosecutors say this verdict sends.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, we're going to take a look at how concussions can lead to mental health problems for children.
All right, I want everybody to enjoy some fresh air today and get ready for the snow for Thursday into Friday. Be safe. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.